Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the sheer drama of a World Cup clash in Houston that ended in total heartbreak and, honestly, a massive officiating controversy. We're talking about the 2026 World Cup, Brazil versus Japan, a match where the stakes genuinely could not have been higher, played under this blazing Texas heat. For Brazil, it was the pursuit of their expected glory. But for Japan, this was the chance to rewrite their footballing history completely.
So you might be wondering, how in the world did one single silent whistle alter the entire World Cup? Well, because what we're about to look at today isn't just a bad call in a vacuum. It's an ignored decision that completely derailed Japan's dreams of a historic knockout win against a footballing giant, and in doing so, it totally exposed a tournament-wide technological crisis. It's this crazy story of human error compounded by rigid technology, and it really raises questions about the very systems we trust to keep the game fair.
Section 1. The Heartbreak in Houston.
Picture this. It's June 29, 2026. Japan comes into this match fighting desperately for their first ever knockout win, and the atmosphere in the stadium is absolutely electric. In the 29th minute, the dream is actually alive. They take a stunning 1-0 lead thanks to a clinical, piercing strike by Kaishu Sano. They are literally holding off Brazil, a team historically synonymous with World Cup dominance. As the second half gets underway, the tension is just suffocating. By the 54th minute, Takehiro Tomiyasu makes this desperate, face-blocking save right on the goal line to deny Casemiro. The momentum shift is huge. The Japanese players are throwing their bodies on the line. But then, just 2 minutes later, we hit the absolute turning point. Japan is denied a crystal-clear corner kick, and the sequence of events that follows is devastating. After that lucky restart for Brazil, Casemiro finds the back of the net and equalizes. The wind is completely knocked out of Japan's sails. That psychological blow changes the entire complexion of the game, ultimately culminating in the 96th minute when Gabriel Martinelli scores a devastating 2-1 winner for Brazil deep into stoppage time.
Which brings us to Section 2, Anatomy of the Error.
The sheer absurdity of the play really speaks for itself here. Japan is attacking down the pitch, right? They're aggressively pressing their advantage. The ball is driven into the box and clearly deflects off Brazil's Danilo before crossing the end line. In a match moving at 100 miles an hour, this particular deflection is unmistakable. It is so obvious that Danilo himself literally celebrates the defensive block. He pumps his fist, fully aware that he just knocked the ball out to save a dangerous goal-scoring opportunity. The players know it, the tens of thousands of fans in the stadium know it. Yet, inexplicably, the referee points the other way and awards a goal kick to Brazil instead of a corner kick to Japan. It is a blatantly wrong call on the field. Instead of keeping the pressure on with a set piece for Japan, the ref hands possession back to the Brazilians, a catastrophic misjudgment that directly sets up the equalizer.
So why didn't the tech step in? Let's look at Section 3, the VAR blind spot. To understand how this wasn't instantly corrected, we have to look at a pretty bizarre loophole in the 2026 World Cup rules. Get this, when a referee wrongly awards a corner, meaning they give a corner kick that shouldn't actually be won, the video assistant referee, or VAR, is completely authorized to step in and fix it. The technology is fundamentally designed to catch that error. But, and here is the kicker where the system completely breaks down, if a corner is wrongfully denied, VAR cannot intervene. Because the referee awarded a goal kick instead of a corner kick in this specific instance, the technology was legally bound by the rulebook to remain totally silent. It's a staggering contradiction. You've got this billion-dollar technology sitting right there, tasked with fixing clear and obvious errors, but because of rigid intervention protocols, the officials were forced to just sit there and watch a blatant mistake stand, a mistake that directly paved the way for Brazil's comeback.
Section 4. The Reaction.
Japanese football legend Keisuke Honda, who was commentating for NHK-BS during the match, captured the stunned disbelief from the broadcast booth perfectly. He asked on air, how will the referee compensate for such a mistake? The frustration was just palpable. You could hear the absolute shock in his voice, mirroring the sentiments of millions tuning in. This wasn't just some fringe complaint from a few upset fans online. Everyone watching, regardless of who they supported, knew a grave error had just occurred. The integrity of the match felt immediately compromised.
And honestly, it cuts even deeper when you hear from Japan's coach, Hajime Moriyasu. He captured the sheer heartbreak of the moment simply saying, "I am devastated after giving everything." Real human dreams, years of grueling preparation, sacrifice, tactical discipline. These players were left literally weeping on the Houston grass at the final whistle, completely crushed by a bureaucratic technicality. It wasn't just that they lost to a strong Brazilian side, it was the agonizing feeling that they were denied a fair contest when it mattered most.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, a tournament of mistakes.
Because here's the thing. This was absolutely not an isolated incident. The Houston match was really just the boiling point. During the group stages of this exact same tournament, we saw similar breakdowns in officiating logic. Ghana, for example, was denied a clear penalty against England when Ezri Konsa brought down Prince Kwabena Adiu in the box. It was a decision so astonishingly poor it left coach Carlo Queiroz fuming to the press, stating that VAR went for a coffee. And then you have the Colombia match, where they had a dramatic stoppage-time winning goal against Portugal ruled offside by what was officially described as barely a toe. We're looking at a massive, systemic crisis affecting multiple nations. Entire tournament runs are being defined not by the brilliance of the players, but by the chaotic application of officiating tech.
So, why is this happening? Well, it comes down to a FIFA directive known as the higher threshold, championed by Chief Refereeing Officer Pierluigi Collina. The fundamental goal behind this directive was actually to eliminate time wasting. The idea was to let more physical play go, to stop blowing the whistle for every minor infraction, and ostensibly improve the natural flow of the game. But what this specific mandate has actually done in practice is create a total vacuum of accountability on the pitch. Referees, instructed to keep their whistles in their pockets, are waving away clear fouls and obvious errors in the name of keeping the game moving. And because VAR is constrained by that exact same higher threshold for intervention, blatant mistakes are just slipping through the cracks.
Which leads us to our final takeaway in Section 6. The system is broken.
1 millimeter. I really want that tiny measurement to sink in for a second. 1 single millimeter. That is the microscopic margin that VAR strictly uses to rule out incredibly important goals for offside, just like we saw in that heartbreaking Colombia match. The system clearly has the capability to be incredibly, almost clinically precise. It can draw digital lines across the pitch to the absolute letter of the law, penalizing a striker because their shoelace was leaning slightly too far forward.
But it cannot award an obvious corner kick that changes an entire match. Contrast that hyper-focused 1 millimeter offside decision with the total inability to fix a blatant, game-altering missed corner in Houston. A missed corner that a defending player literally celebrated conceding. It exposes the absolutely broken logic of the current system. VAR was introduced to the sport to prevent clear and obvious errors. To rid the game of those injustices that fans talk about for decades. But right now, it's delivering chaos, inconsistency, and ultimately protecting bad calls on the pitch because of rigid protocols.
So what does this all mean for the sport? Did the system get it right, or did it completely fail Japan when they needed it most? When a nation's World Cup dreams are extinguished by one glaring mistake and a silent VAR booth, we really have to question the integrity of the technology that was meant to save the game in the first place. If the safety net only catches what it wants to catch, is it really a safety net at all? Keep questioning what you see out there on the pitch, folks. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.